Hi, ever wonder what it's like to work another profession or live in the underworld? Listen to unsuspecting riders give a 10 to 15 minute personal masterclass as I spontaneously interview them as they enter my taxi. I'm your host, Simon Rushton, and this is Taxi Chronicles. Morning. Yes, we're back with another episode, another rider. Today we got the honour, the privilege to understand the future of the NHS. Yes, the good old NHS that everybody uses, regardless of your race, colour, creed or social class. So nice to have you here today, Bob.
Pleasure to be here.
So tell us, what is it you do?
So I'm one of those horrible people that people talk around when they think about consultants, but actually what we do is lots of great work. What we do is very much people focused. So we come into organisations like the NHS. I've also worked for Save the Children UK and parts of the UK government, and we turn their working environments from more of that kind of factory processed environment to more of a people focused environment. So what's best for the person? So we move away from 9 to 5, Monday to Friday working, where you sat in an office. You might have childcare responsibilities. You might have other caring responsibilities. You might have things going on at home that you have to deal with. So we enable people, empower people to chop up their week and their day to fit around some of the things that they're doing personally.
Will this affect the service that they're going to be giving to the public?
Doesn't affect the service. So what we're talking about, we don't do so much with the frontline staff. So with my experience of working with a Home Office, I did a lot of work with immigration enforcement guys. If you're checking a passport, you can't check it from home. There's not much we can do there, but actually what we can do is give you better technology. And when you're not sat at that desk, we can give you a better environment in the background. So it's the same for some of the NHS guys. Your office environment can be a lot friendlier, a lot better, can be more suited to your personal needs. So the whole idea is that when the person's happier, they're more productive. So you get a better service from a happier person who goes, well, actually, I can pick up my kids today, or I can visit my sick relative in the hospital, and then I can do my work, because most of it is office-based work, around that. And as long as I complete the tasks and the work that I need to do, the job is done, my boss is happy, I'm happier, rather than me stressed at my desk going, oh, for fuck's sake, if I can swear, how do I get this done around what I've got to do?
Yeah. So the billion-dollar question is, was this in the pipeline before COVID, or was it come about because of COVID?
I think this was in the pipeline for a lot of public sector organisations before COVID, but I think COVID is pushed through one of the biggest barriers, and the biggest barrier there is senior management wanting to see people every day and manage face to face. If I can't, it's micromanage. If I can't see you, I don't know what you're doing. Whereas COVID exploded that myth to go, well, actually, if I task you right, then I shouldn't have to see you every single day. So it's forcing that change in culture, and it's forced managers almost to be better, rather than I can just see you and pick it up. Actually, I need to know what you're doing. The example I always used to use when we went and have a chat is, having worked in the UK Home Office for 10 years, I could be sat next to someone and they can be running their own business, or they can be online all day. If I don't know what they're doing, it doesn't matter where they're sat. You've got to be actively engaged with the people that you're working with, whether, they're based in your office or based regionally, or, lots of companies would have people who have special considerations and would work from home anyway.
Okay. Yeah, I suppose based on the results, you know who's working, who's not.
Exactly. It's like any result. It's like sat here right now in this Uber, you can see through your app that you're working. That's how you're monitored. I'm working, I'm picking up jobs. If you just signed up to be an Uber driver and you never logged on, you never took a fare.
Yeah. I see what you're saying. Yeah. So tell us about the Home Office. What was that like working in the Home Office? What was your role?
So Home Office is quite a challenging environment. 40,000 people.
Really? 40,000
people at the time when I was working, end of the noughties, and then I left in 2017 with the couple of years after the change in government. I think my experience, we saw a lot of incredibly hard-working people, a lot of people who cared a lot, and then you had a shift in government in 2010 to the coalition, Conservatives and Liberal, and then you had a real big shift with the culture that we see at the moment from around 2015 around this anti-benefits, anti-immigration.
And don't want to feed the children.
Well, exactly. They don't want to feed children. You saw in the news yesterday with...
Can you explain what the Home Office is?
So the Home Office is there to deal with all the personal and all the working things that affect UK residents. Yeah, so it's lots of the domestic. So they have arms for immigration, they have arms for policies. So think of policies that come through around your roads, around where you work. Lanes. Yeah, cycle lanes. So the Home Office will have some of that goes into little smaller departments, but the Home Office will sit across that.
So we've been blaming Khan for the cycle lanes and the road closures on the side. Is that the Home Office or is that Khan the mayor?
So some of that will be Khan. So he'll have to put some things through. But then I think there's a thing with mayors around power. You saw a lot with Lawrence Fox, particularly talking about the things that he could do as mayor, which he absolutely couldn't. I think you saw Sean Bailey as well talk about TfL and rises in congestion charge zone, increase in fares. All those things are central government. So as part of the bailout that TfL got from central government, those were the terms enforced on the mayor and would have been enforced if it had been a Conservative mayor. Wouldn't matter who was mayor. As any transport networks such as TfL in London, if you have a year drop off with that kind of income, no company, you saw lots of private companies as well, Virgin as well, trying to get government money, is going to have that kind of financial capital in spare to cover those losses.
So so I understand, the listeners understand, there's a certain element of things that are enforced by the Home Office that the mayor has to do.
Yeah, so Sadiq Khan doesn't control policing. So when you talk about police numbers, that comes from the Home Office. The Home Office controls policing. He can't say, I want 5,000 more police officers in the street, because Priti Patel does it. It's not, I don't care what you say.
So Priti Patel's the Home Office woman.
Priti Patel's the Home Secretary, yeah. So
she's the head.
Yeah, she's the head of the Home Office. So that's the kind of, so she's tasked with coming up with those policies. So policies around policing, policies around immigration and enforcement, that all comes from Priti Patel. We've seen recently in the press, I think we've had around 20 EU nationals who've come in just for job interviews, and they've been taken off to places like Yarlswood for 3 days and incarcerated and then sent home. So, and that's, it's incredible because that's not even part of the rules, but I think you have such a...
They've been incarcerated?
Yeah, so I think I had one Italian woman who came over. You're allowed to come over for a job interview, but because you've got such a zealous nature in the Home Office now, people aren't looking at the rules correctly, and this Italian woman was taken to Yarlswood and imprisoned for 3 days before she was released. Yeah, so Yarlswood's a detention centre. Okay. So that's where they take asylum seekers and illegal immigrants.
She wasn't an asylum seeker. What did she do?
Well, they just interpreted the rules wrong, because now we've left the EU. They said, well, what are you doing here? And so I'm here for an interview. Well, actually, no, that doesn't count. You've come here illegally.
But they're right then, the Home Office...
No, they're wrong. So you're allowed to come in for an interview. So if I, as a UK national, wanted to go for an interview in Spain or Germany, I can go and have that interview and then come back.
So why are they getting EU nationals to go for British jobs if we've left?
So I think that's the thing. So the UK still has a global job market. So you'll still have... EU nationals will still be able to come in and work. So lots of Premier League footballers are EU nationals. They'll still come in and get...
Yeah, but that's different. That's not government jobs.
So that's the thing. So the EU nationals, the jobs we're talking about aren't government jobs. They're just normal private sector jobs.
So Home Office is just private sector jobs.
So the Home Office sets the rules about who can come in. So now that we've left the EU, although the Home Office could do this anyway, who can come in, how long you can stay here, what kind of jobs you can go for. So you have lots of rules around. Some jobs will be protected, so some employers will have to go out and say that they've tried to find someone in the UK, but they didn't have the skills, so they've had to gone out and get someone from outside the UK. But you still have EU job. You still have people coming from the rest of the world applying for jobs.
To work for the Home Office, or do the job you're doing now, what kind of qualifications do you need for obviously for the young people who might listen to this?
So lots of first-time Home Office employees are graduates, so they have a fast-track graduate scheme.
Oh, is it?
But you can come in, so obviously my knowledge is 2 or 3 years out of date, but I don't think they've changed things too much. You can come in at an admin level, administrative officer, or an EO, which is an executive officer, which is the lowest level of management, which pays, I think, in London around 30 grand.
Really?
Yeah.
As a first-time job?
Well, but that's it, you've got to, that's quite tough to get in. So the admin jobs will pay around the kind of low 20s. Okay. And then if you're out in the regions, it will pay a little bit less. You get a little bit extra for working in central London. Okay. So you can come in at a slightly lower level and work your way up.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. But everybody needs a degree.
So no, you don't need a degree not to work your way up. So they have a fast track, like most companies, where they want to pick up graduates, and the fast track people can come in. They normally do a placing for 6 months in one role. So maybe you do a little bit of policing for 6 months, and then you might work in immigration for 6 months, or you might do policy. So you do that for a couple of years, so you gain experience of the wider Home Office, and then you kind of pick your career focus. But you can, at the admin and at that lower grade, lower level management level, you can just apply, and that can be around kind of experiences that you might had, or any kind of talent that you've got.
Is that from the age of 16?
So I think from the age of 18.
Okay.
Yeah. But I think at that kind of end of teens, early 20s, it's that admin level. So I've got lots of friends who still at the Home Office. I think I started temping there when I was 21, just through a temping agency, and then ended up staying full time.
Okay, that's good. You've been a great guest.
It's my pleasure.
I just have last 2 questions. What do you know now that you wish you knew when you had started your whole career?
I think the biggest thing is confidence in yourself, back in your own opinions, and don't be afraid to take risks. The older you get, what I see is the less you become more risk adverse, and that's dangerous. And from my own personal experience, having been at the Home Office for 10 years and then leaving and being more successful after I left, my regret is not leaving earlier with the skills that I had and putting them out in the open job market.
That makes sense. And what's the impact you want to make and have on the world?
So my impact through the work I do is changing people's lives. I always hated having to work 9 to 5. It's not the background that I grew up in. So by freeing people up to work from home and having more flexibility, it should improve their lives. And that's my driver at the end of the day.
Well, thanks a lot. Great
interview, and
we wish you well. We hope you liked that interview. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to get the latest daily episode. Ever considered investing in the continent with the fastest growing economy and population on Earth? The same continent that holds 30% of the world's known natural resources? Then listen to our sister podcast, Africa Investor Stories, where you will hear real investors with real stories from around the world share their experience of investing in Africa. We post Monday and Thursday at 10 a.m.